Hi everyone, I'm Mary Delgado with the Blockchain Herd. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Please don't forget to hit that like button. So today I'd like to welcome John Linden. He's the CEO of Mythical Games. It's a game company that's focused on building player-owned economies with top game developers and publishers. So I'm excited about talking to you, John, so welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So why don't we start off by you telling the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got into the blockchain space.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been in gaming for a while now. I was a studio head at Activision, so we were mostly so I think Activision had nine game studios, and I ran one of the nine. Actually, my co-founder ran another one of the nine, so we actually had two of the nine covered. And I was mostly a Call of Duty studio. We worked on 4 Call of Duties, and then worked on a Skylanders game that we did on mobile. And what's really interesting, the Skylanders game was a physical trading card that we used computer vision and kind of our own visual or art version of a QR code that we ended up patenting there, that would take a physical asset and kind of secure it as a digital asset. So you could buy packs of cards at Toys R Us and unlock that exact card on digital. And honestly, that was kind of it's somewhat of a precursor to what became NFTs in a way. It's kind of this way to have a secure digital asset back and forth. So that was back in 2014. So it's been a while back, and just love the space. And after I left Activision, I had another mobile company that we did a game called Marvel Strike Force, and just been watching all these big games take off in the free-to-play economies, and really just thought through, honestly been in the blockchain space and cryptocurrencies for a little bit, and really became kind of obsessed with the concepts around what became NFTs, right? And the idea of bringing these player-owned assets into the mainstream games. And it's something, it's not super foreign to us. We have the idea of people have these just trading and having the idea of virtual assets with value. But I think bringing blockchain and bringing that ownership was a big component we thought will eventually dominate gaming.
That's pretty interesting because NFTs really have blown up. So early on, then you pretty much saw it going in the direction that it's going in, which is it's just going wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for us, the interesting thing that kind of hit us as game makers or game designers ourselves is that we understand the mechanics of free to play, and I'll play a lot of free to play games, and I might spend $20-$30, right? And it's a lot of times it's just it might be an impulse buy, right, like a traditional consumer would have, but sometimes it's just to support the gamers too, or the game developers. But then I did try, CryptoKitties came out, which to me is not really a game. It's this gamified market, right? And I had my Ethereum wallets and all that type of stuff. And next thing I knew, I dropped like $600 on these freaking 2D images of cats. And I'm like, why did I just do that? Because that's not a normal behavior for me as being in the game industry. And I think that's when it kind of really started hitting me really strongly around the difference that makes to the psychology of consumers, right? To where if you have buyer's remorse, let's say, you can fix that. If you want to buy and invest and hopefully speculate off of that, you can do that. You could sell your collection at a wholesale. I just want out, and I'm gonna fire sell my collection just to get a little money back. Mm-hmm. It really puts the power back to consumers, and I think that was the moment too that it really starts solidifying that whole vision of like, wow, this could really change not only the game design mechanics, but also consumer behaviors in terms of how they think about digital assets. So that was really kind of when it started culminating into an idea.
So your collection, you were talking about your collection. What's like your most prized collection that you have?
On digital or
yeah, digital.
I don't have a lot yet, honestly. I'll have to pull up the CryptoKitties at some point. I think I have some early. I think I might have a Gen Zero somewhere sitting around because I was trying to buy a couple different ones. I haven't gotten too much. Like, I know a lot of people are into the NFT art and stuff like that, the crypto art. I'm still struggling a little bit with that one on the digital side. I love collecting art. Love collecting collectibles. So I want to see that happen. I'm really big more on the utility. I think that's which I know is different than art, but art is a little less about utility and more about just the ownership and having that collection. But I love the utility, and I think that's where I'm going to get a lot more into the collecting side myself, is that when you have assets that you can actually use, or if you're holding assets that millions of other players are actually using as utility, that's when it gets really exciting for me. And I think that's when I think you'll see a lot more collections as well start popping up.
So as I was looking at what you've created with Mythical Games, it's pretty exciting. And Blanco's party, Blanco's
Yes.
block party, I think is what it's
Blanco's
called.
Block Party.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a really fun time and exciting. Let's talk about that. Explain, what is it?
Yeah, so honestly, Blanco started off as a tech demo. So we were basically we were building this kind of economic engine about how do we kind of bring regulated ownership, so players, the mass market players that are playing on consoles and PC and mobile can actually have ownership and they can sell, and they don't really need to understand blockchain. We use blockchain as a ledger. They can sell in real currencies, and it's fully kind of approved by countries, right? So that was kind of what we were starting to build. And we were like, it'd be great to have a demo to show this all in action. And we kind of immediately, we're kind of big vinyl toy geeks. You can kind of see here, like we have all types of vinyl toys ourselves. We're kind of vinyl toy collectors anyway. But then vinyl toys really kind of hit us and said, if you think about how vinyl toy industry really took off, they would sell blank silhouettes, right? Mm-hmm. And then artists would buy these silhouettes wholesale, and they would paint them themselves, and they'd come up with their own creations, and then they'd resell them to other players or other consumers. And that really hit us in terms of like, one, we're already kind of vinyl toy nerds ourselves, but then also, the idea that what they did in the physical world is exactly what we want to kind of recreate in the digital world, where players can own something and craft something new and create something new out of it and have value out of that. So that's where we kind of got down that path. And we started showing it to a lot of brands because we want to see how do brands react to this type of experience, right? Because brands are very particular around, safety of their brand and where they want to play and what the economics are and how do I have value over the lifetime of those assets, things like that, which have been challenges for us in the gaming industry for a while of getting the brands fully immersed, right? So we started talking to them and they're like, dude, you got to put out this game. This is going to be a great game. And we're like, well, it's just a demo. And they're like, it needs to be a game. And then honestly, we took it to South by Southwest 2019, so about a year and a half ago. And we wanted to see how players would respond to this type of world. So we threw a party out there. It was kind of our mythical, hey, we're here as a company type party. And we hosted the opening night party for South by, and people were in line to play Blankos until 1 in the morning. And it was awesome. So the response was great from players, and we're like, you know what, maybe we need to move this away from being a demo and put out the full game. So we've been working on the game now, and the game got significantly bigger, and we're literally a few weeks away now from having players in that beta, which is exciting. So.
Yeah, that's usually how things happen. It just happens by chance, kind of takes in the direction that you're supposed to be in. So why did you choose blockchain then for the game?
Yeah, so we wanted to really show these ownership concepts, and it's funny. We get asked that a lot around like why blockchain is it needed. I get that question all the time. Do you need blockchain for this? And what's really interesting is to be super honest, we probably don't for the first step. And what I mean by that is we could get away with building a centralized application that has a centralized, marketplace that people could sell, and we could get that kind of blessed by the regulatory authorities, right? But blockchain to me it's a really interesting piece of tech, right? It's this database distributed ledger that is built around the principles of ownership. So things like transparency, things like immutability, things like the decentralization, I think is fascinating, and I think we're in that 0.1% of what blockchain can really do as a technology stack. Mm-hmm. And so it does add a little bit additional overhead, but we think that basically what will happen is we'll have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of stakeholders, right? Creators, players that are making money, brands that might be involved, esports teams that might be involved. And as you get an economy of tens of thousands of stakeholders, all those principles of blockchain, I think, become critical, right? So having transparency, having the ability for them to audit their own transactions over time, that becomes more and more important. So that was the idea behind it. Is hey, it does add a little bit more overhead for us, to be super honest. We've definitely been working a lot around how do we make this work with a console? How do we make this work with mobile? How do we make this work on a PC in a very true fashion, right? So you can't, unfortunately, there are delays in blockchain, right? You have to wait on transactions to complete. So how do we kind of deal with that and not ruin the game experience? So it's been a lot of that overhead for us, but I think it's going to be the right decision for us. And literally we just started selling founder packs on Blankos literally about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. And everyone is recorded on a blockchain. So literally from the very first purchase that was made, everything's recorded on a blockchain. So that was just a decision we made, and we think it's going to pay off in a big way. I think it's going to really open up a lot of different things we can do in mainstream games.
Yeah, I really think that it will pay off for you. So I'm glad you did launch it on the blockchain. That's very good.
Yeah.
Now part of your game, as I looked up when I was researching, it's player owned games. So
Yes.
how does that differ from other games?
Yeah, so literally the concept in our games is we've now, you can own those characters, right? You own the accessories. You buy something in the game, and you have the ability to resell it to somebody else, right? And I think that becomes really exciting. There will be also some other pieces on the back end. We're bringing in a lot of really amazing guest artists. I have kind of one example here, like I said, that one I showed you before,
Right.
and this is not a product. I want to make sure I kind of put this out there. This is a prototype we've been playing with. But this is a
Oh,
character name. So this guy's name's James Groman. You can kind of see the little JG he has on his
I
foot. That's his
love
signature. This is a
that.
super plastic character, right?
What's his
And
name?
this is
What's his name?
this I don't know his name actually. This character's name. I don't even know if he has a name. Maybe I don't know. I should know that. That's something I should know. But anyway, so this is a character he built for us called Boss Dino, and you can see like what's really cool is the same signatures, just like a vinyl toy maker would make. And so we have obviously a digital version of this character in the game, but that's where it gets exciting. And what's awesome about the blockchain is that every time there's a transaction, the content creator will get a cut of that, right? And that I think is amazing. I think it's going to be such a cool experience for people that create their content to be able to monetize that long term, right? So they'll see the price appreciation themselves. If the price goes down, they'll feel that too, right? But they have a true chance of having a real residual now in the gaming ecosystem. So I think we're really, really excited about where these principles go and kind of how the blockchain will help bring that to
Well,
life.
I mean, I really love it because you're giving the artist, the creator, financial freedom, if you will, in perpetuity. So
Yeah.
I really love that they're creating this, like those two that were created there, and then they get financial, get
Yeah.
money in their pocket.
And we
So
saw this even back in the in the Call of Duty or console days, right, where brands would want to be involved, and it's difficult, right? It's difficult to assess what's the value of that character, right? It's difficult to assess what's year 2, year 3, year 4, the value of my contribution now, and how do I monetize that, because I'm only monetizing it on the front end, right? So it's either a brand deal, or it's a one-time payment, or it's a cut of the initial sales. But it's hard to value what those assets would eventually go for, right? Gray
right.
markets have been around for a while, and they suggest that once you can no longer get access to those items, the value does go up pretty heavily, right? And so I think what's really cool is this is going to now bring them into that loop in a big way, but also, like I said, really give them a true value of their assets over the life of a game or gaming franchise.
I really like those. It makes me think of like Ugly Dolls when they came out. I mean,
Yep.
it just blew up. It was
Yep.
crazy. So as I see those two characters that you just shared with me,
Yeah.
they could be in that category too. Not saying that they're
Yeah.
ugly, but they're kind of cool, and I see kids really attaching themselves to them.
What's great too is the artists really get to drive a lot of that, right? So the artists, we're not putting any really restrictions on the artists. Just like, hey, you guys build what you think makes sense. Here's some different silhouettes you can use, and here's the tools. And we have some tools that we can give out to artists, and they can kind of design to their heart's content. And there's a few other surprises we're going to be showing a little bit later that the artists are able to kind of add some tricks. So I can't give you too much yet, but there's some concepts we're doing around blending that we've hinted at, that we'll be able to kind of let artists kind of have some cool stuff that comes out of that process down the road. So there's just so much creative freedom on what's going to happen.
Now, John, this is the blockchain herd, so I have to say you heard it here first. So we got to give our listeners a little pieces of information where I can just say that you heard it here, right? So you are going to give me something.
Here's what I'll give you, is that we've barely talked about this concept of blending. It's not going to be in the day one of the beta, but we are working through what we view our world of blending, right? And probably won't even be called blending. But I think what we want to do is we really want to use these concepts of creative freedom that players can then interact with, right? So that eventually the artist can have rules, and the artist can bring in their vision, but players can then interpret their own vision off of that, right? And I think that's where it gets really, really exciting. And blockchain's perfect for that, right? Suddenly now you can track all these different micropayments. You can track, hey, if there are multiple artists in a contract, you can do that, right? You can bring in, a team of artists and split it out perfectly. You could have a celebrity come in and create something, and their management company and all that is automatically taken care of, right? So that's where it really becomes this world of collabs. And I think that's the most exciting thing that I think Blankos will bring out to over time here, is just these experimentations in game design, experimentations in creativity, right? In terms of like, hey, I can do this now, and I can do this, and I can do this, and pull it all together and have a different experience. And I think that's really what we're most excited about in this game. They call them sandboxes for a reason, right? Because you can just kind of build whatever you want over time, and that's our goal, is to let people have all types of different creative freedoms over time with this game.
You're basically creating a party where somebody can be like, hey, I want to be part of your party.
Yeah, exactly. We love the idea of this, it's a social MMO, right? So it's all about kind of just, it's light, it's fun. You can go play shooting games. You can go play racing games. You can go just hang out with your friends. Like, we've actually had a few times to we'll kind of host a Zoom type meeting right in Blankos, right? And in the Junction, which is our kind of social MMO hub. And then we can put, we'll pull 50 of us into the Junction and just talk and have fun, and the characters will do little dances and stuff. And it really is a fun experience. And I think there's going to be a lot of different ways people can play in that. And I think, the one thing, we are going into beta soon, and we'll definitely be rolling a lot of this out, but we have a long roadmap ahead of us, and I think we're trying to roll out new stuff, nearly every month. We'd like to roll out some new features to it, to where it could be new game modes. It could be, it could be new, new ways to hang out in the game, new designs, new, quests and characters and all that type of stuff. So we really want to set this up so it has a nice long life, and we can really try a lot of new things, which I think is going to be fun.
So John, is there something that you can share with me where you can show me like the block party and what you're creating?
Yeah, so I think what we just, we're putting out this photo basically right now, but this kind of shows you one of the characters from the founder packs. His name's Lolly. He's he's a $25 pack right now, where you suddenly get him and you get a bunch of accessories. Him or her, sorry, he's very gender neutral here. So him or her has the accessories you can get. You get founder status in the game. You'll get founder status on Discord, and then you get, if you spend $25, you get $25 of currency to buy more stuff when the game comes out, right? So this is kind of a shot of character named Lolly. And again, I think it's the first time we've kind of showed a little bit of the updated world. And so this is what we call the Junction. And in the Junction, there's different pieces. So you can kind of see in the background here, that big part that kind of looks little pineapple-y from this shot, but it's kind of these bubbles and stuff. That's kind of the store, the marketplace, and the game. There's this new area now you can kind of see the holes in the ground where you can literally jump into different party portals that'll take you into different game modes that players have created and curated. And we're using a lot of things like machine learning behind the scenes to kind of, if your party starts bubbling up, think about it like a TikTok, right? To where if you start getting a lot of interactions, they can go crazy really quick. And we put a lot of that kind of machine learning behind the scenes so that we can get people right into the games that we think they're going to want to play. Or if they partied up with a bunch of their friends, it'll kind of collectively figure out what's best for everybody to play next. So you can obviously go into any world, but we're trying to really kind of put it front and center. So it is a party, right? You just kind of run around, you can jump in with friends, and you can start playing a match, you can come back, and it's a fun little world that I think that's being built out. It is definitely, as you can see, it's a very wacky world, but it's fun to run through. Honestly, I love being in there, and as I mentioned before, like, you can literally have a Zoom call and just hang out with some of your friends and kind of hang out and do that type of stuff. Or you can go build a shooter, you can build your race, you can kind of do all these different types of aspects. So.
Yeah, you can get your creative juices flowing, if you will.
That's
right.
That's right. So this is another piece we have started to show a little bit of, but this is what we call the shelf, right? So this is your virtual toy shelf in the game, and this is actually from the game, to where as you collect them, when you earn or buy a new character, it'll literally show up in the box, right? So you'll see a box on the shelf, and I can decide, do I open the box and play with it, or do I keep it in the box as a collectible? And we think there's going to be people that will keep them around for a year or two, that there could be some really interesting benefits down the road. That when you open it 2 years later, there's some new ways that maybe people can interact with these characters. So there's a lot of cool stuff around this. And then once you have it on here, you can see some of these characters, they have necklaces on, or they have jetpacks and backpacks on. So it's really about this customization in terms of, I can collect my characters, I can customize them, and each one will help me a little bit differently in the game, which is cool.
So with John, with those characters that are in the box, can you change them to whatever character you want?
Now, once they're in the box, it's just like a collectible. So you can see what number it is. You can kind of see, I have number 14 of 2000, or, whatever that number is. And so you can kind of see that information, but you can't really play with it or kind of assign it to a skill set or things like that until you open it. So once you open it, then you can start playing with it and leveling them up and all that. So
I'm looking at those characters that are there, and honestly, I really see like the younger generation really liking these because I'm really attracted to them. The artist did such an amazing job on them.
Yeah, what's cool about this is they're all different artists. So we have guys like Pete Fowler, who was one of the original. I mean, he's one of the guys that does super plastic now. He was a early vinyl toy artist. Has become super well known. We have guys like James Groman in here. We have a guy named Kronk from South Africa. He did the little pink character over here. We have a lady named vinyl toy creator named Junko Mizuno from Japan. So she did the character you can kind of see in that bottom left of the middle there with that character. That character's name is Majo. And so all these characters, what's cool is the artists have little backstories, and you can see the backstories. You can see, all these different kind of pieces around it. So it really is open to a lot of different types of art. You also see Billy Bones, the skeleton. That's one of our characters that we created in-house. There's a character right next to him on the left there called I Am Rare. That character we gave out at South by Southwest. So we gave it out as a physical trading card. I don't even have one of those. I wish I had one of those, but you can kind of see we gave out these different cards. And I think I Am Rare, so this character in the middle there with the yellow head and the pink body, there's only 211 of those ever will be created. And those are all gone. They've been gone for a year and a half. So they're a lot of different fun characters. And I think that it's going to appeal to a lot of different people that want to play, right? But also just want to collect and have cool pieces of art that they can have in their collection and eventually sell.
So I really like those. Those are really, really cool. So let's talk about the secondary market. What do you think about the secondary market?
Yep. So the secondary is going to be interesting. We're definitely going to be bringing out a lot of interesting surprises. I think you'll see some announcements from us that will include some different markets that you might not have seen before that it creates liquidity. And I think that's the part we're excited about. The way we want to tackle this is we get this question a lot, like, are you guys on EOS mainnet? Are you guys on Ethereum mainnet? Like, where do you guys live, right? One of the reasons we set up our own chain, right? And our chain is built on EOS.io, right? So we are partners with those guys, with Block One and everybody. But the reason we did that is we really wanted to be agnostic, and honestly, we also want people to be able to buy them for real money, for like real currency, so fiat currency as well. So I think you're going to see some interesting integrations on the fiat side. You're going to see some interesting integrations with the crypto side as well. And again, we're pretty open to take it where consumers want it to be, right? So where, like, if there's big markets that we can trade with on the Ethereum side, we'll probably hook into that. And basically what we've done is we built kind of this transaction layer on top of it that we can quickly go through that. And then our chain kind of maintains the agent of record, let's say. So it knows the entire path of where that went. So if a character was purchased and then eventually, sold to a player in the game, and then somebody else bought it, on a crypto marketplace on Ethereum, and then it moved over to EOS, you can see that entire history on our chain. And we will be adding some tools, so we'll have, we'll open that up more and more. But we're really excited to see this play out. And I think what we're still kind of 90% on the game side. We really want to make sure we put out the game first. So I know we don't always release as much information on the blockchain side, but that for us, that's a technology stack, and we plan on kind of extending that over time to have a lot more announcements as we grow. But our focus really is we want to get this game out the door and get players really, really into the game first. And then once we do that, we think that's frankly one of our biggest contributions to the blockchain space is if we can bring millions of players into these games, and even if they don't necessarily understand what a private key is or what a DEX is or a DeFi means, they will understand the concept of like, I own this and I can sell this and get money for it, right? And bringing that into the world of gaming, I think is a big step in understanding the principles of what blockchain brings.
Did you encounter any issues when you were trying to build your blockchain?
Yeah, I think we still have issues, right? I mean, I think the
we
issues
all have issues
right now. I think honestly, the issues have been for us is one. It's kind of interesting. We really have kind of three main teams in the company, and I just mean three personality types, right? We have a lot of people that are super deep in gaming, right? And then we have a team that's super deep in blockchain, and we have a team that's super deep in kind of just like web transactions and e-commerce and things like that. And what's amazing is that not everybody always sees eye to eye, right? And it's a lot of new concepts like game QA. testing blockchain is a new experience, right? Blockchain building for game design is a new experience. So I love that right now. It's been great, honestly. It's nothing. It hasn't been problematic for us, but it definitely reinforces that we're colliding a lot of different worlds into one here, and it takes a lot of kind of contributions from everybody to understand how that plays together.
Right. I see it as a plus actually, because you get like a marriage of ideas, and then, you collaborate and you come up with something spectacular, which that's what pretty much what you've done, right?
That's right. I think, like I said, I think I agree with you. I love where we're heading. I think we're in a very unique spot. And this is definitely the most interesting game company, I've ever built, because, like I said, we have so many of these amazing personalities, from, the macroeconomic side to the marketplace dynamic and pricing side to the blockchain to the games, all that type of stuff. So it's really, gaming is already such a symphony of talents, to be real honest, in terms of like, there's 4 or 5 different types of art, right? There's character art and VFX and environmental art and all that type of stuff. And then you have engineering problems. You have network engineering and gameplay engineering and AI and machine learning and all that. And then you start to bring all that together with music and audio and everything. So then you suddenly take that symphony and then you apply now marketplace economics to it. You apply blockchain economics to it. You start getting some really interesting mixes of concepts that come out of it.
Yeah, I love it. When do you think that Blankos is going to launch, ideally?
So we're going to go into private beta on the 17th. So you can get into private beta if you buy Founders Pack. So the Founder Packs are on sale right now. Getting a Founders Pack will get you into the beta instantly. And then you can also queue up for free. So it is a free to play game. And we have a nice list of people that are waiting to get into the game, and we'll start bringing those people in as we have capacity to do that. But like I said, either sign up on the website at blankos.com, or come buy a Founders Pack if you want to support the game. But it will be free to play, and it'll be starting on the 17th, which is not very far.
Hey, I like to say, if it's free, it's for me.
Exactly. No, man, and that's, we're used to that. Like I said, the average free to play game on mobile is 95% free, right? Which basically means 95 out of 100 players will never buy anything ever. But it's really important to the economies and the gameplay, and it's important in our game as well. Like, we want people building, we want people playing and competing and all that. And we definitely want the free to play players heavily in this game as well.
So how can someone then play Blankos?
Yeah, so it's PC right now, PC only. We're working on a couple additional, platform deals, and hopefully we'll announce something, in the near future. But it's definitely PC, and the reason we started on PC, one, is there's no real rules, right? We have nobody kind of dictating to us how we have to play, which you do have that a little bit on the console side. You do have that on the mobile side. You have rules you have to follow to be on those platforms, right? And they don't always adhere to the vision of what we're trying to do with blockchain. So we're definitely working through those deals right now and trying to figure out where is best for it. But it will be starting off on PC. So if you have a PC, you can pick it up. I think the min specs are out there. We try to make it as easy as possible. And you can literally just, off of blankos.com, you'll download the loader or the launcher, and away you go. So
now, you talked a little bit about the Founders Packs. Tell me about what the Founders Packs, what are they?
Yeah, so we wanted to do something special for players that have been supporting us early on, and honestly to kind of get that first thousands of a couple thousand people into the game and being known as the original founders, right? And it's been interesting for us, because this is where those worlds of blockchain and gaming are colliding, and not both sides don't quite understand the other side yet, right? So we've taken a little bit of feedback from the blockchain, speculators or traders or collectors, right? Saying, wait a second, why is there more than one, or why do you only have more than 100, right? But for us, what's interesting is on the game side, they're like, what are you talking about? You'd only sell 100? Like, that's ridiculous, because you want millions of players in these games, right? So the way we've been kind of viewing it right now is it's been a nice experiment for us to kind of come in and say, hey, we are opening up Founders Packs. They will be limited edition. They will be a limited time as well. So we're going to cap them on both. If they sell out ahead of the time limit, great. If the time limit hits, we'll cut it off there. So we're kind of doing it both ways, but we haven't announced that number. And the reason we haven't announced that number is really a variety of reasons. One is that we didn't want people to do the math and come in and try and buy them all. Because that doesn't really help a game community start, right? You want the game communities to have tens of thousands of players over time, right? Or hundreds of thousands of players. In our case, honestly, we were happy with just a few thousand players or a few tens of thousands of players to come in to start that community. And so that was what we kind of set this up to do. So some of the packs will be around longer. Some of them will probably sell out quicker, and we'll see where it goes. But there's 4 packs right now. They range from $25 US to $150 US. Every pack you get a matching currency. So if you buy the $100 pack, you get $100 of currency as well in the game. So you get everything in the pack, but then you can also buy a bunch of Blankos and characters and accessories and stuff like that in the game as well. You also get the founder status in the game, you get founder status in Discord, and you get some really cool characters that will only be available in these founder packs. So once they're gone, like I said, they won't ever be available again.
And you accept any type of currency, correct?
We do. We accept, yes, we're doing both credit card processing as well as cryptocurrencies. So we have quite a few right now. We've been working with some gateways to try and open that up a little bit more. We're trying to get one more hopefully added before too terribly long. But we're like I said, we're trying to open it, be as agnostic as we can on payment wise. And it's honestly, that's been a really interesting experiment to see. It's been a lot more even than we thought it would be, to be real honest. So it's been really, really fascinating to kind of see those dynamics play out.
Now, do you have any big partners that are on board with Mythical Games?
We do. We haven't really announced any of those quite yet. So we have several big ones right now. I think in the gaming space, it's not super traditional to announce them too early. So we've been a little quiet on some of them. We have some really interesting partners on the secondary side. We have some really interesting partners on the gaming side we're kind of bringing forward. We have some really fascinating brands and things like that that are going to be coming out as the game moves from beta into a full launch. We have some partners on the influencer side. We have some brands. We got some just all kind of across the board. And again, we like that because we want to experiment with a lot of different types to see what works and what reacts well in this new kind of combined blockchain gaming space.
Well, anyway, I tried to get it out of you, but I guess it didn't work.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We just have to be pretty tight-lipped on some of that right now. The partners won't react as well as if we let it out. So.
No, 100%. No, I get it. So we talked a lot about the digital world, like the physical world. If someone wants to get their hands on some of those characters that you just showed me, how do you offer that?
We don't right now. So it's something we've been talking about. We've done this before. Our chief operating officer was one of the executive producers for Skylanders, the entire brand, which is kind of was one of the pioneers of Toys to Life. And we love the concept. We love the concept of physical meets digital. I think right now we want to make sure that digital experience is strong before we kind of bring out the physical side of it. But we're definitely pursuing it and seeing if there's something we could do down the road. So nothing to announce quite yet, but we would love to have some experimentation around that before too long. And I think again, blockchain brings some really interesting concepts to that world as well. So.
Well, I'm already going to put in a request because I'd like the physical characters because they're really cool.
We've gotten that a few times already. And I think one thing we've kind of kudos to our art team. They've made these boxes that these characters come in really lifelike. And we've had so many people that are like, oh, so wait a second, is this a physical toy or is this a digital toy? And honestly, I have to give, just huge props back to the art team. The fact that they can put out art that's actually in the game that looks like real toys and looks like real boxed up characters. So they are all digital though for right now. So
how many do you have right now in your Mythical Games team?
So the company is, we're growing. We've been growing really nicely. So I think the most amazing thing is that over half of our team now has been hired since COVID. So started. So since the lockdown and the work from home, over half of our team has come from that. So over half our team we've never met in person, which is kind of amazing. But yeah, I think we're roughly about 75 people now, and then we have another 40 out of the UK working on the game as well. So a little over 100 people kind of working through this. Our company is mostly focused on the back end. We work on a lot of the game design and art direction and things like that, but also that engine, right? The engine behind the scenes to make all this work, and that's been a key focus of ours. And like I said, we'll see some other projects pop up before too long.
That's awesome. Are you doing any, I know you're in the community a lot, but do you do any AMAs where you talk to the community, you answer any questions? Do you do those once a month, often?
We try and do them as much as we can. I said we're trying to also bring out a few more personalities in the company as well. So like Jamie Jackson who's our chief creative officer. He's been doing a lot, specifically around the game. So usually he'll do a lot around the game itself. I'll try and do more around just kind of general principles of what we're trying to do as Mythical. Rudy Koch is our other co-founder. He's also our SVP of business development. He does a lot on the blockchain side. So we try and bring out more and more. We're trying to bring out Nicole Yang, who's our VP of marketing, and just really get all these amazing personalities we have at the company out in the public. Yeah, we try and do them as much as we can. Honestly, we're really trying to get out there a little bit more. I think we were a little tight-lipped for a while, which we got a little bit of feedback. People wanted a little bit more information. We're trying to open that up as we get close to this beta now, and I think you'll see a lot more of that more and more happening.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah.
So if there is a question that you would ask yourself that I haven't asked you, what would it be?
Oh man. I guess the one question I get asked a lot is kind of where we go, where do we go from here? Is the Blankos, are we done with Blankos? Are we doing more games? Are we, and I'd be happy to answer kind of our thoughts on that. Are we going to license, all that type of stuff? We get that a lot. But I honestly, like I said, other things around Blankos is just, I'm trying to think here. Is there anything? I'm not sure what else, if I've forgotten anything there. I think for us, like I said, I think we're excited to bring out Blankos, right? Yeah. I think it's really just going to open up so many cool opportunities. And I think the idea of having all these levers we can pull to design against is going to be really, really cool. So.
Yeah. Well, I love the way that you're giving your artists the freedom to create, because you got to just unleash them and let them, let their creativity flow. So I love the fact that Mythical Games is doing that, and they are doing a really great job.
Well, I think we're going to try and keep doing a lot of things around adding more and more to that table, right? To where there's more on the plate that you can create, and there's more on the plate that you can sell, and there's more on the plate that you can interact with, right? And I think for us, again, it's not the old school video game days to where you get a title and it's done, right? It's a game as a service, right? To where we're constantly bringing out more things for players to interact with. And I think we want to have a lot of community feedback too. And our Discord channel we have at Blankos is really starting to grow nicely. We want to get that feedback in terms of like, what do players want? What do players react to well? And we'll do our best to bring that into the community. So. Right.
So is there anything else that our audience should know about Mythical?
Let's see. I think said we're really excited about Blankos. We're really excited to see this community grow. We're really excited to get our engine eventually into other games as well. And I think that's one thing we're thinking a lot more about. We've been entertaining a lot of conversations with just great game studios around how do they view blockchain in games? How do they view the concept of player ownership in games? And I think that gets me really, really excited to see that the reaction's there. And I think what's also fascinating is that every game studio is a little different. We've been talking to the big companies right now, and they all see it a little bit different, but they see it coming. And I think that's the most exciting part, is that whether they see it more around esports or more around UGC or more around the ability to bring in brands and things like that, or interact with influencers, they do see it. And I think that's the most powerful thing that's about to happen, is that we're hoping that games like Blankos will open up that palette of tools even more, so that we see these economies in a lot more games. Obviously, we want to be powering some of those economies, and we'll probably bring out another game or so in the next few years, hopefully, to where we can kind of continue bringing these concepts forward. And I think that's ultimately where we want to be known for, as Mythical is really focused around empowering creators. And I think that's everything you see from us will hopefully be tied back to empowering creators.
Yeah, well, I love everything that you're doing, John, with Mythical Games, and like you were saying, empowering creators. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my channel and talking to my listeners about Mythical Games and explaining and just showing how creative your artists are. So thank you so much for coming on the show, John.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah. So again, thank you, John Linden, CEO of Mythical Games, for coming on the Blockchain Herd. Really appreciate all of his information, and I encourage you to please, I'm going to have all of his information down below in the description on how to get more information on Mythical Games. So as always, I really appreciate all my listeners. Don't forget to hit the like button, and as always, you heard it here on the Blockchain Herd.